Every backtest you've ever run started with a decision you probably never thought about: when to take a snapshot of the market. Almost everyone uses the clock, 1 bar per minute, per hour, per day. It feels obvious. It's also wrong, and it quietly damages your models before you've added a single feature. Because the market doesn't release information on a schedule. It releases it in bursts. And sampling on a fixed clock means you're taking most of your snapshots when nothing is happening, and too few when everything is. There's a better way to slice time, and almost nobody in retail uses it. Marcos López de Prado wrote it down years ago. Let's actually understand it. Start with what everyone uses: time bars. 1 candle every fixed interval of clock time. The problem is twofold. First, information doesn't arrive uniformly in time. The hour after the open and the dead hour at lunch get the same single candle, but one holds a flood of activity and the other holds almost nothing. You're giving equal weight to unequal information. Second, and this is the part that actually breaks your models, the returns of time bars have ugly statistical properties. They're heteroscedastic. Variance changes wildly through the day. They show serial correlation. And they're far from normally distributed, with fat tails. Most of the statistical tools and models you'll layer on top quietly assume the opposite. So you're building on a cracked foundation before you start. Here's the fix López de Prado proposes. Stop sampling by the clock. Sample by activity. Form a new bar not when a fixed amount of time has passed, but when a fixed amount of the market has passed. 3 flavors. Tick bars. A new bar every n transactions. Volume bars. A new bar every n contracts or shares traded. Dollar bars. A new bar every n dollars exchanged. Watch what this does. In the busy open, where lots happens fast, you get many bars, fine detail where the action is. In the dead lunch hour, you get almost none. You stop wasting snapshots on nothing. You've reallocated your sampling to where information actually lives, and the payoff is statistical. Returns sampled this way are much closer to normal, with stabler variance. The foundation stops cracking. Among the 3, dollar bars are usually the most robust, and the reason is simple once you see it. A volume bar of 10,000 contracts doesn't mean the same thing over time. As price drifts, the value of that volume changes. And the number of shares outstanding, or contracts active, shifts with splits, issuance, and market growth. 10,000 shares in 2015 and 2025 are not the same economic event. Dollars don't have that problem. A bar of $1 million traded represents the same economic weight, regardless of price level or year. You're holding the unit of measurement constant, and that stability is exactly what you want, feeding a model that has to work across different regimes. Now, the part almost nobody in retail uses, and the part that should interest you most. Activity bars sample when a fixed amount of trading has happened, but not all trading carries information. 1,000 contracts that net to 0, buyers and sellers evenly matched, tells you the market is balanced, in equilibrium. 1,000 contracts that are nearly all buyer-initiated tells you something completely different. Someone is pushing. Imbalance bars sample on that. Here's the mechanism. You take each trade and you sign it, +1 if it was buyer-initiated, -1 if seller-initiated. You accumulate the signed flow. A new bar forms not after end trades, but when the cumulative signed imbalance exceeds what you'd have expected by chance. In plain terms, a new bar closes the moment the order flow becomes abnormally one-sided. Think about what that gives you. Your bars now synchronize with the arrival of informed activity. You sample the market precisely when it stops being random noise and starts being directional, when someone with conviction is moving size. You're no longer sampling on time, or even on volume. You're sampling on information itself. There's one more refinement worth knowing. Run bars. Instead of total imbalance, they track runs, sustained sequences of flow in one direction. Imbalance bars ask, how one-sided is the net flow? Run bars ask, how persistent is the one-sidedness? They're tuned to detect sustained pressure, the footprint of someone working a large order over time, rather than a single aggressive sweep. Same philosophy, sharper edge for persistence. But here's the catch that most implementations gloss over. All of this rests on one thing: correctly signing each trade as buyer or seller initiated. And most people approximate it, the tick rule, or Lee ready, inferred from top-of-book data. Approximations. On the violent, fast moments where imbalance matters most, those approximations are weakest. The honest version needs the actual side of each order, which lives in order-level data, not in the aggregated feed most retail builds on. Same lesson as always. The better the data resolution, the more truthful the bar. Build imbalance bars on an approximation, and you've built a beautiful idea on a guess. So the next time you reach for a 1-minute candle, remember you made a choice, and probably the wrong default. Sample by activity, not the clock. Sample by dollars to hold your unit constant. And if you want to sample on information itself, sign your flow and let imbalance decide when the bar closes. This is the kind of thing I think about when I validate systematic strategies, whether the data underneath is even built right, before we ask if the edge is real. That's Crucible. Links in the description. But even if we never talk, question your bars. They're the foundation everything else sits on. Get them wrong and nothing above them can save you.